Hi guys, and welcome to another Hero of the Week. This week's hero is Bishop Marianne Edgar Budde, who stood in front of the so-called leader of the free world, who was sitting with his family and members of his cabinet in a church, and she called on him to show mercy and compassion towards people who are scared at the moment. Bishop Budde spoke about immigrants, both documented and undocumented, who work in American businesses and on American farms, about gays and lesbians and trans people who are deeply concerned about their rights and their safety, and those who fear their parents will be taken away at any time. Have a listen to this.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
A wonderful speech, a necessary speech, a powerful speech. This is what needed to be said. There are people who are vulnerable. There are people who are scared at the moment, and they needed somebody to reach out on their behalf, to stand up to this guy, to plead with him, to call on him, to show compassion and mercy, because they're afraid at the moment. I thought it was interesting, the body language, if you looked at it, and look at it again if you want to review this video, but look at the body language of Donald Trump, but also J.D. Vance there on his left, next to his wife, and then the others behind. This needed to be said. These people are now in charge. They're going to rule over people's lives. They're going to make decisions that are going to have a huge impact on the most vulnerable in society. I've mentioned before how about this is really a money grab. This is about funneling money from the federal government into the pockets of friends and donors. But it's also about weaponizing issues, weaponizing hate, using it as a tool to divide people. Trump is going to use his platform, his many platforms, to enrich himself, but also to keep himself in power, to keep his opponents at bay. And those around him are going to do the same. So this was a necessary speech. You had Trump and his administration in a situation where they cannot respond. They have to listen. I think this was so necessary. I think it was a wonderful thing to do. And that's why the bishop here is our hero of the week. See you next time for our next Hero of the Week.